What's up, Space Monkeys? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden, and right now I want to talk strategy with you, and I hope that this will be good news. I don't know if we can count on any Democrats, including the Squad or Bernie or Nina anymore. I'm starting to lose a little faith in all of them because really nothing is getting done. This Biden presidency has been an absolute catastrophe, and I'm not seeing any fight from barely anybody. But what I do see is that Bernie is very good at working behind the scenes and getting little things done by himself. He is actually an effective legislator, whereas most of the Squad are just squawkers. They don't actually get anything done. They're not very politically savvy, save for maybe Ro Khanna. And Rashida Tlaib is actually pretty good. But the rest of them are just blabbing. They don't get anything done. They're near useless. But here's something to hang your hat on, guys. Remember, Bernie is head of the Budget Committee in the Senate now. So he has some powers in that seat, which is going to be helpful with the bill coming up that is the budget. You know, it's not the bill, but it's the military budget. And that's been coming in at something like 1.5 trillion, 753 billion of that 1.5 trillion is for the military. So up 13 billion over what Trump had at 740 billion. So it's atrocious. But Bernie said before, and I forget what show he was on, that he kind of alluded that he's willing to, there are some things he can do in this seat in the Senate that include holding the military budget hostage that'll allow him to get a lot of other things put into the budget. So if he's willing to do so, and I think he is, I think that we might actually be able to get something done. Now, if he goes too big here, they're going to tell him to F off, and they're and I don't think that is necessarily a reason why he shouldn't go big, but he's not going to get anything done unless he does something savvy and works behind the scenes and is willing to basically hold the military budget hostage. Now, I don't think he has the ability to completely block it by himself, but I think he does have some powers where he can really hold it up for a while. And I'll have to do some research later on exactly what his powers are. But I know that he has alluded to holding the military budget hostage because he now holds this seat in a way that he can kind of get some things added to the budget that he likes. So I think that it should be one thing, and make it simple as it gets, Bernie. If you're ever listening to this, which I know you won't, and by the time you ever do, if you did, it'd be way too late. But do a guaranteed basic income like what I've talked about on this show before. Now, that's not a universal basic income, which you could shoot for that and maybe get a guaranteed basic income as the compromise would be fine. But the main goal should be trying to get some sort of guaranteed basic income similar to what we've talked about on this show, which was studied at the University of Michigan. It would cost $219 billion a year. And a guaranteed basic income is it's a means-tested version of universal basic income where you make a certain amount monthly if you are considered in poverty, and then you make less the closer you get to the monthly income required to be 50% over what's considered poverty. So let's say, I think in America the poverty lines are extremely low, and they need to be obviously adjusted to go higher, and that goes without saying, because if your measurement for poverty is like $10,000 a year, that's not accurate. So it needs to be an accurate measure of what poverty is, and then you get more or less universal or less income given to you via the basic income the closer you get to 50% over the poverty line. So that would be like, you make, as a family of three, your household makes something like, I think, $26,000 a year, I think would be the poverty line for a family of three. It might be a family of four. So you would get the guaranteed basic income if you make that, and up to 50% beyond that, so about $45,000 a year. So you would get it, and if you run into money, or you get a better job or an upgrade at work, you make up to $45,000 a year as a household in a family of three or four, then you would no longer qualify. But this eliminates poverty permanently in the United States. $219 billion a year. This, and you can look it up, it's one of my oldest videos. So what Bernie should do is say, listen, I'm not going to let that military budget through until we do this. And if it means you have to move up the 1.5 trillion to 1.72 trillion to get that extra 220 billion in there for the guaranteed basic income, so be it. Or better yet, two birds with one stone, keep it at 1.5 trillion, but we're going to cut our military budget by a quarter. Or a third. You need to do it by a third. Cut the military budget at 750 billion, cut it by a third, that gets you 250 billion. That's more than enough to eliminate poverty forever. You put the military budget at 500 billion, and we still spend more than twice the amount that China does on military, and they're the next closest person in military spending. And no more poverty in America. And what I would do, Bernie, is just frame it like, listen, we know we're not going to get the recurring $2,000 checks here, Joe, even though that's what you should do, and that's what I think that he should aim for. But if you want to compromise in the middle, we should do a guaranteed basic income, and you can call it whatever you want. Call it Joe Biden's, call it Joe Biden's freedom dividend, or call it Joe Biden's COVID dividend. It can be framed in a way where you can say, listen, we have to give these people that are sick and middle class and run down from the depression and the pandemic something that's going to be able to keep them afloat, because everything that we did in the ARP was a one-time thing. Nothing's recurring. So we're going to run into the same types of, eviction problems, and even though the moratorium is extended, but we're going to run into the same kind of people getting behind on their rent 5, 6, 7, 8 months in a couple of months here. Everything that was in the ARP was just a little Band-Aid, and I told you guys it was going to help people for maybe a month or two, but if you're already 6 months in debt and they gave you 2 months worth of rent, you're still 3 months in debt after you paid it off, and now it's been, a month since the checks went out. So it's just going to be, you're kicking the can down the road. Let's do a guaranteed basic income paid for in the budget. Bernie can do this, I believe, and he should hold it up. Gum up the works as best you can, Bernie. I don't know what your powers are, but let's get a guaranteed basic income included in this $1.5 trillion budget bill, and until they agree to it, hold up their military budget. It's the one thing that Bernie, I think, can do where he has some leverage right now. And he knows that he has that leverage because I think he's the one that actually alluded to it, which is what brought me this idea to do this video today. He said he would, in this position in the Senate, for the budget committee as the head, he can hold the military budget hostage in a number of ways. And you know that all the corporations want that to pass. They're going to force their legislators to make it through. So if it's a must pass, the budget, you have to push for cutting the military budget and giving some of that money to the people. We don't need more wars, and we don't need more weapons. We need people to be able to pay their rent and have food on the table and survive the pandemic here at home. So frame it thusly. Maybe we can get this done. It's not beyond the realm of possibility. We spend 3 times as much on military spending a year than we do on what could be a guaranteed basic income that would eliminate poverty permanently in this country. So, but what do I know? I don't know. Maybe Bernie doesn't have that much power. I'm going to have to do some research, but I think he does. So let's do it, Bernie. If you're as savvy as I'm giving you credit for, you got to get something in this budget bill. And you have some power to do so. Otherwise, who the fuck cares that you're actually in that seat? If you're not going to actually get something done and tangible for the American people, then it doesn't matter that you're in that seat. So prove me wrong, dude. Do something good. I think you can hold that military budget hostage, buddy. Keep the fight out. Keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I'm going to try to do one more episode tonight. Got a little bit of a headache coming on again. All these storms that we're getting in the Midwest right now wreak havoc on my brain. So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. Love you. I'll see you later.